Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Doctrines podcast. Today we're changing one thing about Return of the Jedi, and if we could change one thing series. I'm your host Logan Schultz, and with me as always is my co-host Cody Dastrip.
Hello there.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. That's exciting. Ready to talk about Star Wars?
Yeah, this one's hard.
Yeah, this one was kind of different. We were talking about, I guess, why was this one more different? We're looking at Return of the Jedi today.
Well, just like you pointed out, I think the original trilogy's been harder in general,
right?
But like you pointed out, the Return of the Jedi is a pretty it's an upbeat movie. It's got a lot of highs, and it's a hard one to look at and be like, okay, yeah, this is the part that's just absolutely terrible. It's like I don't know. It was tricky to come up with something.
Right. I think overall, Return of the Jedi has a lot of great things going for it, being the hero's movie, and there's a lot of attachments into the finality that it has and the nostalgia that it brings with it.
Oh yeah.
But it definitely has it seems to be more like this part's cool, this part's cool, this part's cool, and the kind of the smaller pitfalls. And then, I mean, of course, there's the Ewoks, which people have mixed reviews on.
Right.
There's the How I Met Your Mother Ewok line, but
I know it's definitely of the original trilogy. I always did think it was one of the most fun ones. So
yeah, I go back and forth with it being my favorite, just because Luke being the hero and wrecking and being awesome is
kicking
fun.
Booty. Yeah.
So, but I guess what is the one thing you would change though?
So after many sleepless nights, the one thing that I decided
I really don't feel like that's accurate.
The one thing that I decided I would change is the way that the Emperor's death is handled.
Okay.
And it's, I almost have to look at this without
Rise
the
of
sequel.
Skywalker.
Yeah. So, the way his death was handled allowed for what happened in the sequel trilogy to happen. So I guess we'd have to look at it differently with this death. But anyways, just looking at Return of the Jedi by itself without thinking of the repercussions it would have on any of the other movies.
But are we supposed to be looking at this as the idea of now that we've seen all 9 films?
Yeah, maybe. Well, okay, so just hear me out.
Okay, let's hear him out.
I always just hated how Vader just kills him by picking him up and just dropping him off the edge. It hasn't always been, it wasn't that epic to me, him picking him up. It was cool because the lightning hit Vader and you could tell it had some impact, and Vader knew that.
Yeah, the Vader skull thing.
Yeah, exactly. But part of it's always been cheesy,
Yeah, basically since the get-go.
Yeah, and they redubbed over it, made the voice a little better and things like that. Yeah. So, they definitely did some add-ins.
Necessary change.
But I don't like deaths like that. And to me, how much more epic would it have been if you're watching him shock Luke and all of a sudden Vader's saber just cuts through, stabs right through him or something,
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know where Vader's saber is at this point, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I know Luke cut his hand off, but did it go down the, because that would ruin that. Maybe that's
Vader
why
picks it up, right?
Yeah. But if he doesn't, maybe that's why he decides to throw him off the edge.
That's
I don't know.
Point. That's an interesting perspective.
Either way, I just thought it would be a little more cool. To me too, it always felt weird how Vader just carries him like this, and he doesn't try to resist. He just
yeah.
I get he was surprised. I just would like to have seen something
for 1 second,
a little more epic. Yeah, exactly. Vader uses a force choke and just forces him off the edge or something.
Okay.
Just something different. And so what I was going with on the Rise of Skywalker, we know. It's probably while he's falling down the shaft, he's able to transfer his essence over to a clone body or something, and that's how he survives.
Right.
So obviously if he was stabbed with a lightsaber, he might not have had time to do that, so it wouldn't have allowed for the sequel trilogy to do what it did. So that would be a problem, I guess, looking at all 9. But maybe if he was just forced off the edge instead of carried,
I mean, I feel like I'm trying to think of how many times you've seen someone just get stabbed with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
The answer is not really that much.
It's not as much as I would like to see. Okay, for example, there's a deleted scene that we actually
shared right?
where Grievous stabs Shaq T from the back. That is so cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's epic just to see the saber. Because why wouldn't that be a thing more often with the saber? All you have to do is hold it to someone. You don't have to turn it on. The moment you hit the button, it's like a gun.
Yeah.
If you want to hold someone hostage, you put the gun up to them. You could do that with a lightsaber.
True.
It doesn't even have to be activated.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'd just be cool to see something like that. But like I said, I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know where Vader's saber is at the time. I'm sure we could go back and look. I just didn't think about that before this.
I remember when we were talking about like the Rise of Skywalker, just because our post Rise of Skywalker reactions, we were talking about how it would have been cool if Anakin was kind of the one to sort of initialize or stop the Emperor shocking Rey. Like if the Emperor turned and started trying to kill Rey, if Anakin's Force Ghost kind of appeared and like stopped it.
Yeah.
I think that would make a really cool parallel. Well, obviously that one didn't happen, but if that happened, it'd be a cool parallel if Vader like stood in front of his son again,
Luke.
like just walked in front and like blocked Vader, because we do see Vader block Han Solo's shot with his hand.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of interesting to see Vader like do that with Force Lightning, because we've seen Yoda do it.
Right.
But he's the only one we've ever seen really powerful enough to do it. So I think that would kind of bump up.
Well, then you could still have Vader's skull because he's blocking and it might overpower him.
Because he's not as powerful. He's never learned this power.
Plus he's missing an arm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well
robotic arm. Yeah.
Are you missing a robotic? Can you really miss a robotic arm?
You've already lost it before.
Does he feel that?
Probably wasn't that painful, huh?
He was like, vroom, no, actually that didn't hurt.
Not so bad. He's just short-circuiting. But yeah, no, maybe he steps in between, takes the shocks like that, and then maybe, does something with the Force to move him over the edge or something. I don't know. Or
does he have to go over the edge?
I'm looking at it as he has to go over the edge so he has time to transfer his Force to a clone, his essence to a clone.
I'm just trying to think. Every Jedi that I can think of who dies in Star Wars. Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm trying to think of when Darth Maul actually dies finally.
Rebels.
There we go. I was like... It's like, wait, hold on. There's way too many lightsaber fights with Darth Maul where he could have died. Okay, so he dies against Obi-Wan finally. Okay, Count Dooku's really my outlier here in like my head. But everyone who dies, like when they get stabbed, I mean...
In your head? In his head that falls off?
Yeah, that's funny. Okay. But everyone has like, okay, they're stabbed and there's like a second of being alive that I do feel like if Vader were to stab, he would be fine.
He could quickly just like, yeah.
I also feel like the logistics, no one's really mapped this out. I feel like he can probably pretty quickly expel his identity from...
But then if Vader uses his lightsaber and strikes him down, does that mean the Sith would try and go into Vader?
Doesn't he technically strike him down anyways?
Yeah, but it had to be in hate with a lightsaber.
No, I
don't know.
I think wait, wasn't the reason that Rey's not a Sith is because she kills him? So technically she's still a Sith. No, she's still a Sith. But she dies, so she effectively ends the Sith because she's dead.
Yeah.
And then Ben Solo brings her back to life, so she's a new person.
But
which doesn't make any sense.
But I thought the big thing was like she has to do it in anger or in hate.
Mm-hmm. That seems reasonable.
Which she doesn't. She does. So I guess Vader wouldn't have been doing it in
peacefully
hate. Yeah, well,
blocks the lightning back into his face.
Well, Vader wouldn't have been doing it in hate. He would have been doing it to protect his son. So that's noble, I guess. Anyways, I don't know the logistics of it, but that's the one thing that I would change.
Okay.
One way or the other. I don't have a specific answer. That's why I didn't make the movie, but I'm very curious to hear what yours is.
Okay, so mine has to do with, I think, probably the most reenacted scene, or like my favorite scene as a kid, was Luke storming into Jabba's palace and the reveal of the green lightsaber. The first time we've ever seen a green lightsaber on stage. Ever, like,
it was epic.
It was like blue, red. Oh, green.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was so cool, and
it was almost blue.
Right.
They almost left it blue.
But then George is like, nah, blue sky and brown sand equals green. It looks better.
Yeah, it'll stand out more.
That's cool. I mean, it was green. It was super cool. We have the what's up R2,
and R2
magic backflip thing. It was a really cool scene.
Yeah.
Now my only problem is that it's a pretty cool scene, but like kind of rewatching it, I mean, it's been 30 years. The fight, there's super cool scenes to it. The flip off the diving board, awesome. Doesn't make sense really walking a blink, no, but I'm okay with that part. But the backflip off with the lightsaber catch, super cool. I love that scene. But the rest of it was kind of weird, honestly.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of really good fighting. When Luke gets on Jabba's barge, like, it's interesting, but him like jumping between the little mini ships, is honestly pretty lame. There's of course the infamous force kick,
where he doesn't make contact with the guy, but he goes flying backwards
and throws his gun. I mean, and then you can totally pretend that's the Force. I mean, sure. But I mean, there's that. It's kind of weird. That scene feels a little weird.
Yeah.
Bosk is actually on Jabba's barge at this time, which 90% of people do not know.
I didn't realize that until we found that out. Yeah.
But Bosk and Boba Fett, which, I mean, my thing that I was wanting in episode 5 was Bosk and Boba Fett to kind of team up to go and like try and find Han Solo, have that be a little more interesting, the bounty hunter scene more meaningful. But then Bosk and Boba Fett have a relationship established in the Clone Wars where Bosk is pseudo daddy,
like a father-son kind of thing almost, Or
so
like
it'd be
Uncle Bosk.
Uncle Bosky.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see like Bosk and Boba Fett like try and fight something together, and then if Boba Fett shove his butt down the Sarlacc pit still, I mean that sucks, but I mean,
but
I'm all for
maybe
Boba
not
Fett
have
living
it be
and
by
Bosk like saves him or something. Like we get to see like a scene where Bosk like throws off like the metal from the Jabba's barge and rips Boba Fett out of it or something.
That'd be cool.
That's something like that would be really interesting. I think.
Anything but a blind guy with a stick killing Boba Fett on accident by bumping his jetpack would be cool.
Yeah. So basically, it's just kind of that scene that has some cool scenes.
Yeah.
But it's just holistically, I think the fighting nowadays would have been a lot better and a little bit smoother.
Sure.
I like, for example, one part you get to see Luke get his hand shot. And that's really cool because it's his fake hand. And that's a really interesting tie-in that you see is like fake hand gets shot and he's like...
Can kind of feel it a little bit.
He can kind of feel it. And it also like, it doesn't show like a hole or anything. It actually shows some like electronics.
Does that answer our question about if Vader could feel it?
Or is
it like
Vader,
Luke had better...
Well, I don't know. Well, I think Vader's
Luke could feel.
Yeah,
we
Luke
know he
could
could.
feel
I don't know if he just had better...
Had better parts back
or
then
a different kind of...
I feel like Vader probably updated his arms occasionally.
Yeah.
He went in for an oil change and a new arm. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically my thought is just that the barge scene is really cool and has very powerful, fun fighting elements. But there are parts that are kind of lame. And I think now looking at it, it does kind of downplay the heroics of Luke and what he's learned in this time period as he's become a full-fledged Jedi Knight.
Okay. I like it. Well, guys, that's the one thing that we each would change from Return of the Jedi. Would love to hear what you guys would want to change. Drop it in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Really appreciate your support. And as always, may the Force be with you.